Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Demu versus Beasty, another ranked game. This time around, we will have a French mirror out there, as classic as it gets, one of the most traditional matchups on the ranked ladder, as well as in tournaments when you can pick the same civilization as your opponent. We will have spawning in on the right side, Beasty playing as the French in yellow, and to the south, it is going to be Demu playing as the French in red. The map that we are having here is high view, so obviously scouting is going to be important, and line of sight will be critical over here. One of the key features of high view is that because of all these stealth forests in the middle, players are a lot more hesitant to commit their armies, and they're a lot more cautious when it comes to moving out of their bases. This often results in longer games than usual. Part of the reason why, as I said, is because every once in a while, you run into a scenario where you just get surprised by the enemy in the stealth forest, you lose your army, and you lose the game. So players will be a lot more cautious. Now, one of the interesting things here is that we kind of have an alley here in the middle that's not covered by stealth forests. So this is going to be an interesting area of the map to look at. And the other thing is that this is a French mirror, so you will see a lot of knights. And when I say a lot of knights, I do mean a lot of knights. And there is going to be a lot of pressure towards these gold mines. Now, speaking of gold, Beasty has been punished by the map generation gods over here. He's got all 3 gold mines very far out there. Not really any safe backup options. He's got some good wall ability to the north, probably to the south as well. But no matter how he walls, he is going to struggle to protect these gold mines. On the other side, Demu hasn't really been blessed either. All 3 of his golds are very close to each other. The only thing that comes in as a saving grace is that this gold mine is at least to the back side of the town center compared to Beastie's, which is on the front. Now, when you look at a French mirror, it's as standard as it gets. It's a knight's race. Oftentimes, we talk about a French mirror in the context of who blinks first. Whoever deviates from knights first is likely going to be the player that loses. 9 out of 10 times, at least, in French mirrors, that's what you see. And the reason is pretty simple. Once you start pivoting away from knights, mixing in some spearmen even, that basically means that you will fall behind in knight numbers. And when that happens, your opponent will be able to afford detaching a couple of knights. And those detached knights can start harassing your eco, and you will struggle to catch all of them. So for a long, long time, French mirrors have been played such that both players are going knights, and whoever is starting to fall behind is the one that has to start mixing in spears. You probably won't see many archers over here initially. It's going to be all knights, and potentially some spears, unless either of the players wants to go for an extra TC. I think it's legitimate to play into an extra TC over here and play defensive with the knights, but you gotta be very cautious because, obviously, if your opponent sees that you're playing into 2 TCs, they can play into knights and spearmen immediately and just overrun you before you could counterattack with the knights and harass their eco. School of Cavalry is being built by 5 vills here by Demu. Beast is only building it with 4, and this will result in a slightly faster feudal age from Demu. He is able to queue up a knight right from the get-go. Beastie will be able to as well as he reaches feudal age. Big difference though, Demu has rushed feudal age such that he gets the first knight out. Beastie, while he was going up, he's also grabbing wheelbarrow. Now, when you look at wheelbarrow, you could say, hey, this is a great eco-tech. But there is more to this. The 15% villager movement speed bonus that you're getting here is immensely valuable when it comes to saving those villagers from the initial knights. So this is also, to a certain extent, a defensive tech for Beastie. It will make it much easier for him to keep his villagers alive against these knight raids. The added benefit that he's getting is that, you see, it's not like he was that much delayed going into knights. Beastie is about half a knight behind compared to Demu, but if he plays defensive at the beginning, that will not show. He's going to keep his knight back at home, knowing that Demu had a faster feudal age and a faster first knight. But by the time the second knight arrives from Demu, Beastie is going to have his own second knight. In fact, you see, second knight will reach the battlefield for Beastie right now, and Demu is just now sending it across the map. Some heavy lumberjacking over here from Demu. Makes me wonder if he wants to go for an early Rex, and looks like Beasty will go for an early Rex. This is not how French mirrors used to be played historically. I'm not necessarily against it, as long as the idea isn't that you go for like heavy spearmen and sacrifice knight production for it. As long as Beasty can maintain knight production, I'm happy with this. I think this, for Beasty, is more about getting some spearmen going so he can protect the gold mine and he can use the knights to raid. On the other side, what Demu is doing is much more standard. He's just playing into full knights. He's yet to scout the barracks from Beasty. And again, for Beasty, key thing is that he cannot sacrifice knights production for spearmen. Maybe short term he can, but if that's a long term thing, he will get punished for it by Demu. Knight splash in the middle. You gotta be cautious about losing those scouts. Each player does have one scout out here, but if you lose it, you will be deprived of so much vision. And on a map like this, that's detrimental. That's actually devastating if you lose that one scout. It will make it impossible for you to spot anything with these knights, with all these stealth forests around. The spearmen have just been spotted by Demu, so now he's gonna have to play into archers. This is a window for Beasty. Because one of the things we haven't talked about is that if Demu is playing into archers, then he is going to struggle once the numbers are growing high. In general, cavalry plus spear usually beats cavalry plus archer in the highest level of games. That's usually seen in the form of horsemen plus spear beating knights plus archer. But I would think, especially at the highest level of competition, that spear and knight with good micro actually beats spear and archer. The idea behind that is that the archers need to focus the spears, and if they cannot, they basically do no damage to the enemy knights. Even if they pick off a couple of spears, those are cheap units. What happens on the other side? If you ever commit your knights against spearmen, even just a couple of hits from the spears will do a lot of damage to very expensive premium units. So what the spearman player will do is hold back the spearman, and the moment you commit your knights, he's going to commit his spears. And every hit a spearman delivers to a knight is 10 times more valuable than a hit delivered by an archer to a spearman. That's kind of the idea behind this, and that's part of the reason why spear and horseman has been beating knights and archer compositions for a while. Anyway, back to the game. We didn't really miss much. We have been seeing some skirmishes around the base. I just kind of figured it would be interesting for you to hear why this strategy choice is relevant here. Demu is now playing into a second TC. He's playing double barracks. First things first, he sees that Beasty's playing one TC, and he also sees that he cannot really do a lot of damage. So response is that you play into the boom game, and that's exactly what Demu is doing. Second response, you're behind in terms of spearmen. So what do? You go double racks. Now this is deceiving because Demu cannot sustain the spearman production. He doesn't have the food, nor does he have the wood. And even more so alarmingly, he doesn't even have the food to produce knights with. I said this before, whatever you do in a French mirror, one thing that you cannot stop is the production of knights. You do that, and you will struggle to catch the opponent's knights. Beasty is down by one knight right now, but he's constantly producing, unlike Demu. And now the knights are coming in to possibly punish the TC. Good fight here by Demu. He's getting some nice, valuable hits with the spears. Beasty's trying to punish as well with his own spearmen, but he has to sacrifice them to save the knights. And he loses another knight over here. Some very good engagements over here happen for Demu. Second TC is up for Demu, so he did secure the hunt. This will be very valuable, because you see Beasty is going to have to protect this very much forward hunt with a tower. And a tower is way less sturdy than a town center is. So if there's a counterattack here by Demu, he could easily punish this hunt. Beasty's at 5 knights, Demu is at 7. He's got chivalry coming in, but no more knights in queue. You see, this is why that scout is immensely valuable. When you look at Demu's POV, most of the line of sight that Demu has is from the scout. Now here come the knights. Once again, Scout from Beasty helps these Knights acquire targets, and they are successful in that. Only one villager falls, a second one makes it back to the TC. There's the counterattack though, and that's a dead villager lying on the floor. So both players managing to pick off at least one villager from the opponent. Beasty's gonna have to shift to the other hunt though. This is a big difference. Cutting off the wood from Demu is problematic, but cutting off the food from Beasty is even more so. So this is good value for Demu. He actually yoinks another Vil here. Spearmen have been rallied back home by Beasty to deal with all these Knights. This also leaves the Knights available for aggression on the other side. And there's a lot of damage potential here for Beasty. Gold Miners partially exposed. Berry Vils as well. Notice that Beasty doesn't have a lot of line of sight here. He doesn't have a scout accompanying the Knights, so it's a little bit more difficult to find good targets and avoid the Spearmen. Demu now has a villager lead of 4, and more importantly, he is still fine on the Knights department. Spearman numbers are looking slightly better for Beasty, but that's a small difference maker. I don't think it's going to impact things much. What is going to be more impactful are the eco upgrades. Mining upgrade in for Demu. Fertilization, or horticulture actually, is in for Demu as well. He's got a second hunt here. And Beasty, he needs to keep a lot of spears back at home because he doesn't have these extra town centers or even towers protecting the Vils. This is a big difference. Demu moves in. He's got the scout as well, providing line of sight. Spear v spear. Will trade nicely, but you probably just detach the Knights and hit the Vils. Looks like Demu will commit though. Feels like there's a window to kill the Spearman. Villagers will flee, but the Spearman will be sacrificed to accomplish that. A couple of villagers get caught in a crossfire. Beasty is launching counterattack here with the Knights though. This could work well. Demu is stalling out here against the spears, and Beasty is facing no opposition here on the wood line. Beautiful surround on the Vils. Will get quite a few picks, but most of the Vils will make it back to the TC. In there, Beasty is going to have a fight close to his base. Towers helping out against the spears, but numbers are looking so much better for Demu here. Those spearmen are really getting some good value, and those are the units that are swinging this battle in the favor of Demu. Beasty will have to fall back into his TC, and now he's taking a fight against the spearmen. Beautiful micro saving most of the Knights. I don't think that he lost more than one here. I don't know if he has chivalry. He actually does have it. So healing back all these Knights will be immensely valuable. I saw villagers throwing torches at spearmen, which is definitely not something that's commonly seen. But now the tower is taken out. You see this mill is taken out as well. And Beasty is starting to struggle for food. This is why oftentimes you see players expand their second TC towards food. Especially when that player is French. French live and die with their food. The Knights are very expensive. When you also support that with the Spearmen, your TC works faster. You deplete your food very fast. And because of this, you need to expand towards additional sources of food like Demu has done. And holy smokes, Demu has killed a lot of Vils. This was mostly here on the hunt. It wasn't like one gigantic raid where Demu killed all the Vils. This was chip damage on multiple sources of food. Now there's the counterattack by Beasty, getting some good value. But again, as much as he is doing his best to do damage here, he's barely getting villager kills. Most of the Vils get out there with low HP. Look at all these bad boys. So many of the Vils are hurt, but few of them are killed in each of these raids. And Beasty lost a lot of Vils. Obviously, he's also playing 1 TC only, compared to 2 TCs. But the villagers that he lost on the hunt here, as they were fleeing back here as well, those are starting to sting. Beasty wants to raid more though. He's getting Iron Undermesh, which is a clear indication that he just wants to dive under TCs and get some villager kills. But it's getting increasingly difficult. Knights are now tracking him down. Spearmen getting some formation shuffle here and there, getting a couple more picks. And look at that, villagers even fighting there to body block. 2 more Knights fall from Beasty. These Knights did not have a scout accompanying them, so Beasty didn't really see the Spearman running towards him until he got very close. And that's also a contributor to Demu's success in these fights. Beasty is so limited on vision with these knights. Look at that. Now he's down to 6 knights. He's got 17 spearmen. Demu on the other side, 27 spear is the count. Villagers will push away the spearmen. Another clash. This time around, Beasty will repel the aggressors. Looking at Beasty's position, it's getting difficult. It's getting very difficult. Not only is he low on villagers, 20 villagers behind compared to his opponent, most of his food comes from berries, which is not the fastest source of food by any means, compared to an opponent that is taking hunt. An opponent that also had the second hunt depleted, could even go for the boar. In fact, I think the reason why we see these walls over here is to secure that boar. So it's not just the fact that Beasty is low on a villager count compared to Demu, it's also the villager efficiency compared to Demu's. Beasty's committing to a lot of blacksmith upgrades though, and he's dropping 2 more barracks. Feels like he wants to just play this out in feudal. Gets through these walls before they are completed, but the overwhelming flood of spearmen should scare him away. He actually aggroed the boar with the scout. Nice little cheeky move. He may have tried to lure it out of the walls just to make sure that, you know, these walls won't protect it directly. But boar will go back, and the boar will also be secured by Demu. Now, if you're Beasty, I guess the question is, what do you do to come back into this game? And the answer is simple. You just gotta kill Wills. That's the best thing that you can do. That's the only thing that you can do. Luckily, you do have the knights to accomplish that with. But you see, actually, this is a smart move from Beasty. He's torching down houses, so Demu is right now pop-capped. It's not like it's going to be an impossible difficulty to overcome for Demu, but it's definitely something that buys a couple of precious seconds for Beasty, and he needs those. He needs to get villager picks. Problem is that now it's coming too late, I feel. Royal Institute on the way for Demu. He's rushing it up with 26 vills. He's got 9 knights to work with right now. He's going to get the veterancy on the spears, and more importantly, the moment he gets the Castle Age, he will pop Royal Bloodlines. Royal Bloodlines is an expensive tag. It's about 520 gold, I believe. So you need to stack up some gold as you're going up to Castle Age. It's actually 490 only. So he can pop that immediately if he wants to. But Beasty will just step out of this one. I don't know why that match complete thingy is so weird, but there is the GG. Demu's investment into the second TC paid off well. I don't want to blame this on the early spearman of Beasty. I don't think that was the game changer. Though, as we discussed, historically in a French mirror, going for early spearman is not something that usually works out. I think the big difference was that while Demu could play into 2 TCs and secure the hunt, Beasty's eco was so much more exposed. I think it came down to the fact that if Demu didn't have the second TC protecting the hunt, Beasty could have done a lot more to shut down the hunting eco of the opponent. And because Beasty was playing on 1 TC only, every single villager he lost himself was extremely problematic. And also, he didn't have any significant protection to those villagers on the hunt. And with that, we finish this game over here. If you like this video, I greatly appreciate if you throw a like on YouTube. If you subscribe to the channel, these metrics help me a lot getting new opportunities. So if you do that for me, I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next cast.